Party for freedom, fighting back. 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 Now, manufacturing is all overseas. Why? No thanks to the unions. They never stuck up for their workers when it really counted. They never said to the federal government, why do our workers pay more than 30% income tax when they earn over $37,000 a year or more? Why is it that after $80,000 a year they pay 37% income tax? Anyone that earns $180,000 or more pays 47% on their income tax. And you've got to ask yourself why the unions haven't come along and said to the government, why? Why do workers pay more than the corporate counterparts? Isn't that what you're supposed to be fighting against? Yet you're fighting against your own countrymen. You're fighting against Australian workers. You're fighting against countries instead of telling your union delegates to do their job properly. Bill Shorten and Malcolm Turnbull are two of them, one and the same. They are the right and left wing of Australian politics, and they are from a right and left wing bird, and that bird is a vulture that's picking off your carcass, and they have fooled you to fight against the patriots instead of turning around to the government and demanding fairer workers' conditions, sticking up for Australian rights. Why? Why don't you fight against your true enemy, and that is the government? Fight for your children's futures. We cannot afford to bring in refugees in this country when we have got homeless people by the thousands, including defence personnel who served this country. They left the Defence Force and they are now homeless. Why aren't you sticking up for them? We will not stop. We will not be satisfied until these questions are answered properly. Refugees from the Islamic world are not interested in integrating with our society. Look at the Islamic world. Look at the turmoil. Why aren't you telling the country, our government, why are you fighting wars in countries which don't know our democracy, don't know our ideals? You're a disgrace. You want to bring in the problems on which our governments are forged. Why? Stick up for Australia. Stick up for Australian rights, jobs and future for your children, not the economic refugees that will only bleed this system dry. The United Nations, its Human Rights Commission, is headed by Saudi Arabia. Do you understand these things? Saudi Arabia has one of the worst human rights records in the world, and you stand by and say nothing about Saudi Arabia being the head of the Human Rights Commission. You choose to go to war against your own countrymen. Shame on you. You're nothing but traitors to your nation. But you can turn. You can correct your action. You can become patriots instead and demand our government free itself from a tyrannical organisation called the United Nations. The United Nations has Saudi Arabia as its head of the Human Rights Commission. Where are you, feminists? Why aren't you campaigning against the United Nations? Saudi Arabia has the most grotesque record regarding women's rights, yet you stay silent. Your hypocrisy is absolutely outstanding.
The other day, I went to the trade union movement protest and they asked me to remove the Eureka Stockade flag. This is cultural Marxism trying to wipe our culture, our heritage. Australians fought under this flag because the establishment was against them. The unions have betrayed you by the Trotskyists infiltrating us. Now, the Trotskyists are always complaining about class warfare, always saying that females are getting underpaid. That is the biggest load of BS I ever heard in my life. We got the thing called the state award. If the employer honours the state award, they're not breaking the law. The unions are trying to create class warfare with the Trotskyists that infiltrated. It's about time that you leftists realise the establishment is your enemy, not us.
We seek human rights for Australians. We seek better workers' conditions for Australians. We want
Gentlemen, make up the minority of the refugees flooding into Europe, and only a fraction of them come from Syria. It is time to smell the roses. The baby that was found on the beach of Turkey was not a refugee. The father and the mother were completely safe in Turkey because they've already fled danger. Yet they wanted a free dental job in Germany, so they tried to cross the ocean and drowned. And then what happened? That child washed up on the rocks, and then a couple of Turkish soldiers removed that baby and laid him down face first into the sand to fool you into thinking that they were trying to escape tyranny, when the truth is they were completely safe in the land of Turkey. Ask yourself one question: why is Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Saudi Arabia being the head of the Human Rights Commission at the United Nations are not taking one refugee? Yet there are countries which is culturally much more suitable than ours.
Pico scum off our street. Pico scum off our street. Pico scum off our street. Pico scum. Pico scum off your. 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 Pico scum.
Pico scum.
Off your. Pico scum.
Your Pico scum. We have a crowd over there that are proud to call themselves prior refugees. Yet I do not see amongst those flags one Australian flag. Do they despise their nation that much that they won't even fly the emblem of our nation?
They are traitor scum, left-wing traitor scum, Pico scum, Marxist scum, homo scum. That's what they are. They're not welcome here in Australia. We should deport them as well. Send them over to Saudi Arabia. That's what should happen to them. They're like Australia. What are they doing here? They should go over to one of the Islamic paradises that these other repos are coming from.
Why don't you demand the United Nations tell Saudi Arabia, Qatar and other Islamic countries to take in all the refugees, since they are culturally much more suitable than Europe? Yet Europe has been flooded by refugees, mostly men of pointing age, and women in Germany, scores of them, are being raped and hunted down. In Switzerland, in Sweden, in Norway. Sweden has just confessed that they're on the brink of civil war. Paris had the biggest terrorist attack with about 130 odd killed, with Muslim terrorists coming from Belgium, yet no one says anything. These Marxists still preach cultural diversity. What sort of diversity when it calls for the own destruction of your own culture? We will not allow to happen to Australia what is happening in Europe right now.
Farming culture is a rape culture, and now we've seen the result of left-wing and socialist policies taking out the full horror of their meeting in Sweden. Sweden is now the rape capital of Europe. Here in Australia, we don't want Australian women being raped by these Muslims. We don't want Muslim refugees here in Australia. Now is the time to say enough is enough. We're not going to put up with it. That's why Party for Freedom, one of the reasons why Party for Freedom was formed, to stop this Marxist scum, this left-wing scum and this open border scum from putting their policies through into the government. We're sick of it and we won't put up with it.
And we at the UPF join our counterparts our countrymen, and we are united in the cause of freeing this country from the pestilence of Marxism, this left-wing politics. We will free ourselves from this disease of political correctness. We will make the government accountable for their treason against their own countrymen. We will exercise our rights under the Constitution, under the law. We will speak up because we are not afraid, because we are liberty's vanguard. We will not rest, we will not stop until we bring those who have betrayed our nation to justice. We stand for Australia and Australia only. Defend the right for those who are overseas. The affairs of this nation belong to its patriots, its liberty's vanguard, and we will rise up. We will not put up with this Marxist treason of our nation anymore. Rise without fear, everyone.
Rise without fear, everyone.
Rise without fear.
Rise without fear. Rise without fear. Rise without fear. Rise without fear. Rise without fear. Rise without fear. Rise without fear. Rise without fear. Don't unpack, you're going back. 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 Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Patriots, we beat the socialists. We see what happened in Cologne. We see what happened in Cologne in Germany because these Muslims can't control their sexual drive. There are up to 1,000 women molested in Cologne alone. That's not including in other German cities and other European cities. And we don't want that type of thing here. We don't want Australian women being molested and raped. We know it's already occurring here in Australia, and the government and the media have covered it up. Oh, they've covered it up because they care more about Muslim refugees than they do about Australians. That's what we've got going here in Australia, and it's not good enough. Prue Goward, the Minister for Women, has admitted publicly there have been 300 cases of female genital mutilation in Western Australia alone, and that is where these Muslims cut the clitorises out of baby girls. 300 cases in Western Australia alone, and that's not including Australia-wide. So far, in Australia, there's been only 2 prosecutions. So we're in a situation here where these Muslims are breaking Australian law, left, right and centre, while they cover it up. Well, that's not good enough, and they're covering up because they know that multiculturalism is completely failed. And it's our job as Party for Freedom to make sure that the people of Australia are aware just how failed multiculturalism is here in Australia. It's costing this country hundreds of millions of dollars a year. It's totally unacceptable. The Open Doors Brigade are across the road, morally bankrupt, intellectually bankrupt, left-wing Marxist scum. And that's what Party for Freedom is about, is opposing this left-wing scum and this Marxist scum, and making sure that we have sane policy here. We identify those groups that are coming from Australia, breaking our laws. We will force the Australian Bureau of Statistics to keep the public criminality that's going on with these ethnic minority groups. You know what? White Australians are right at the bottom of the list. Right at the bottom of the list. And well, who's at the top of the list? Well, it's not white Australians, and we've had enough. Follow this.
I've got a story to tell you. 2014, a 14-year-old girl at Doonside got raped by 20 Sudanese men. And the media virtually covered up and only proved all you see is Sudanese out there. You don't see any Australians.
Good go.
I expect on Sydney West being the dumping ground of the refugees.
Tune in tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Bye for now.